someone has to put the routes on the wall. So that's what I do almost my whole career over there. So whenever, if someone wanted to go further, they have to get into some different circles basically where they can start doing like big competitions regularly, or they can go freelance and start going to a lot of different gyms in an area. In Vegas, there's only a couple gyms, but in places like California, Utah, Colorado, there's enough gyms if someone were to work freelance that they could work all week and just kind of pivot around. Or you go in more of like a vertical integration and you go up into like ownership. So I know a lot of people that kind of work that way, where they take their career as a setter and then move toward like gym ownership, which is a good gig, for sure, but that's such a small percentage of people that are going to go through to that.
For sure.
It's kind of hard.
For sure.
I don't know if I'd like that.
Yeah. And I'm guessing because that's like a 7-day a week kind of thing to be a gym ownership, work at the gym, because I'm guessing it's open Monday through Sunday.
I mean, that's a week long gig of like being given and on it.
Yeah.
Super stressful. I mean, gyms are hard.
Climbing's
so big.
Oh yeah. I see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And I have tried to climb one time, and that's the last time I've tried to climb. I mean, I have just no coordination for it, of like, and I think it's more of just like using muscles I have never used before. It's just a completely different, like, I don't like to say I'm like really strong by any means. I'm decently strong, but when I try to climb, it's like, this is just not the same thing. It is completely different. Completely different. I don't even know, like, I've seen some of your videos and stuff, and I just, even though sometimes you're only up like 10 feet or something like that, that is a world away from where I'm at. That is, it's impossible. It's impossible for me.
Yeah, it takes a
crazy.
long time to get used to the muscles that you use. It's definitely not like the type of, unless you do like very specific sports, there's not a lot of crossover. Unless you do like gymnastics or like parkour or like some stuff like that. There's almost no sport that you could be like, oh, I'm good at this, so I'll be able to pick up climbing quick, because it's just different muscles. Like if you're really good at like basketball and baseball and football, like they're all like you're athletic and good, you'll probably be good at all of them. With climbing, it's a little bit different, just because the way your body works, it's very specific.
I've had some flexibility issues, so because my typical routine is just, it's like running a few days a week and then going to lift a few days a week, and I'd stretch in between. But then I was like, my hips are tight, my ankles are tight, my shoulders are tight. I was like, I got to mix it up. Getting a little older, almost getting to 30, so it's like I need to be a little bit more flexible. So I tried to start doing some like calisthenics and things like that to kind of loosen me up and do just body weight exercises. It just, first week just kicked my ass. It's like, it's just, and that's not even close to climbing either in my book. And you're right. It is, if you are good at a lot of sports, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter one bit. It is so difficult to climb.
Yeah. I'll see like some, like some big meathead dude come in and be like, oh yeah, I'm hot shit. Like I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
They just get destroyed. Like we could climb circles around these guys if we were blackout drunk, just because it's just the way it goes.
Yeah, the meathead guys, they think they can do it all. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's funny.
What's the craziest climb that you've done? Like, have you? So, like, I know there's like, you can have a harness on, you can free climb and all this stuff. Like, what do you? And I've seen you do like free climbing, but it's not like you're scaling a mountain. You have a mat underneath you, so if you fall, like, what do you do? Like, do you do anything else, or?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different disciplines in climbing. There's bouldering, which is just no ropes, no protection. You just fall on mats, essentially. That's indoor and outdoor. And then there's sport climbing, which is with ropes. Traditionally, you'll like support your weight by clipping into carabiners along the wall, so you can go much higher. It's just a completely different discipline. And then there's other like smaller things like that spread out along it, like trad climbing, where you use traditional gear, stuff that you place inside the rocks. that supports your weight, which is very badass. I've never tried climbed. It's a whole
Yeah.
different thing to me, but yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do with it. I'm mostly boulder, so I just climb no ropes, but I do a lot of sport climbing as well with ropes. I'd say I don't know if I could like pinpoint one of like the one craziest thing, but I've definitely done a handful of like pretty tall boulders outside to the point where
Mm.
like if you fell, you'd almost certainly break your legs.
For
It's
sure.
definitely just like a point of no return, or just sport climbs that are so long that like you're just unbelievably high up. But I don't know, it's hard. I think you kind of get numb to it pretty quick, actually, once you do it regularly, like throughout an entire
Yeah.
season, you kind of get used to it. I think that I like the things I are more memorable for me are like some of the hardest boulders I've done are not very tall or scary or
Mm.
cool looking at all. It's kind of funny that way, where some of the things that are really hard are just like a really ugly little face with only a few little features on it. So sometimes you get the best of both worlds though, where it's like beautiful and huge and striking and also hard. It's a good
Yeah.
challenge and also like very inspiring to look at.
Yeah. I know when Chris and I lived in Vegas,
Yeah.
we would just go hiking out in like red rocks and things like that.
Yeah.
And we would see people climbing, and we just we'd see him climbing on like this rock that's only 10 feet tall or something like that, and it's a
Yeah.
little more kind of like in between horizontal and vertical. It's slanted quite a bit, where difficult to climb, but it was like 7 to 10 feet, and we're like, well, we might be able to scale on that for a minute or two. And I remember we tried one time, and it was just like literally one hand just slipped, like we couldn't even get a grip on it, and we had like there's like one guy who was telling me, he's like, oh, that's a good grip right there, and I was like, it's just flat. I was like, I can't grip onto anything. He's like, well, you got to have like strong forearms and strong fingers. I was like, yeah, this is not I'm not built for this.
Yeah. It takes a while. I mean, some people pick it up quicker than others, but it's definitely a
What do
learning
you
trait.
did you like work out when you first started to climb? Like, did you do workouts specifically for climbing, or did you
Yeah.
just start climbing and then you naturally gained that
I
strength?
I personally do a lot less cross training with exercise than some people. Some people have
Okay.
really good regimens where they have training days and climbing days. And truthfully, I did that a lot before I worked at the gym. So before I was climbing for work, I would have more time and my sessions would have more freedom to them, where I
Mhm.
could come in and work out one day or work out after a session. But I have a little bit less time now with being able to. So I try to just make my training on the wall as much as I possibly can. So a
Yep.
lot of that is climbing on like system walls. The system wall is like it's basically a wall that's got an angle adjustability to it, and it has like a standardized set of holds on the entire thing. And every single one across like the whole world, there's a lot of different types of them. There's like the tension
Mhm.
board and the moon board and all these different boards, and they're all the exact same. So everything you're climbing is the same thing someone else is climbing all the way across the world, wherever it might be,
Oh,
Japan or like Korea, whatever. So everyone can create climbs on the same thing, and then it loads up in an app, and you use the app to put the climb on the wall. It has LEDs to
it's
show you where to climb.
it's
I
sick.
use that mostly because it's very
Hmm.
strong, like very hard, bad holds usually. And it's just really good for like trying hard and having like high intensity, hard strength training on the wall.
Yeah.
So
Dang,
yeah,
I didn't even know you could do that. Standardize it across the board for which
yeah.
it makes a lot of sense.
There's a lot of cool technology and progressive stuff happening in climbing over the last 5 years. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
do train my
It's
fingers off the wall though. So I'll do like hangboarding like on like wooden edges, or I'll like lift weights off the floor with like
Mm.
a 20 millimeter like wooden or metal edge. And I'll
Oh,
do
yeah.
that to train my fingers with like high intensity in a very controlled way. I'll do that to train my fingers a lot of the time. Most of the stuff I'm doing off the wall is like stretching nowadays though,
Yeah.
because I'm
I
getting
have I
older.
have I have one of those boards that you hang up like a pull-up bar that you just put your fingers in it, and
Yeah.
you have to like impossible.
Yeah.
I
That's
thought it was going to be easier than what it was. It is not.
Yeah, those are scattered across the like we have like 10 boards and we have like a big like rack in our gym that you can like
Yep.
French cleat them on. It's a stick
Yep.
setup. But
So
yeah, it's awesome.
is your gym just purely climbing, or is it a little bit of everything?
Well, our gym is very training focused as a whole compared to some other gyms that can be more maybe like commercialized and a little bit more family friendly. Our gym is very training focused. We have a very big workout area. We have three of those system boards I told you about, and then we
Yep.
have a full bouldering area. We don't have any sport climbing, so no ropes or anything, just bouldering, just no, just fall onto the pads if you fall, basically. And then treadmills, exercise equipment, all that stuff.
Things
So
like that.
we're like pretty like if you wanted to be a member at our gym and not have a membership at a regular gym, you totally
Yep.
could. You could totally get away
Really?
with it. Yeah. So that's why people like our setup more. We have like so much to offer for people. People come in and just run on the treadmill and leave. Like,
Call it good. Yeah.
yeah, it's like I'm already a member
All
here.
they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah.
hot here too. You don't want to go outside.
Oh, oh my God. Yeah. How's the temp out there right now?
Right now, I think it's like 106.
Woo.
But we had like a week. We had a week long like 115 plus, like 2 weeks long of 115 plus. I think we had our
Yeah.
technically hottest day ever in Vegas this year,
Really?
which was like around 120. I feel like I've seen 120 before, but it was like in
It's
the
still,
headlines. So
yeah, that's still pretty crazy.
it's
120 is so hot.
yeah,
It's just, and you know, Vegas is just all concrete and asphalt, so
yeah. There's nowhere to
it
hide, bro.
heats up. No, it is. Here, I had a car with black leather, and
Yeah,
even when I'd park it underneath those parking shelters or parking covers,
yeah.
I would still get in it, and it didn't even matter. It was in shade. The leather was just 150 degrees.
Oh, dude, it scorches you. It
Oh my
like burns
God.
your legs.
Yeah.
It's so
You
bad.
know, like in Iowa during the winter, you start your car when it's like -10 or below freezing. Get your car warmed up so when you get in,
Yeah,
it's nice and warm. Vegas, I just had to start the car to get it cooled down because it like I couldn't step foot in it. It was
yeah.
unbelievable. But
I've definitely, you know, I guess I had coping mechanisms. I was gonna say I'm used to it, but I'm never used to it. But I have
never
lived here
used
my
to it.
whole life. I lived here for 28 years, and shit, it's still hot.
120 is 120.
Yeah,
That's hot. That's hot wherever you go.
dude. Yeah, I don't care if you're like an absolute demon in the heat. You're lying if you say it's not
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah, and I would definitely say you Vegas people are a little bit different though when it comes to the heat, only because like when we lived in Vegas, I just remember I would be at the pool when it's like 85 degrees. I'd be out
Yeah,
swimming, drinking a beverage, and the pool would be empty. It'd be like April and the pool's empty and 85 and sunny. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is perfect. Where is everyone at?"
yeah,
And we would talk to people and they're like, "We don't step foot in the pool unless it's at least 90 degrees outside. Like there
yeah.
it's too cold. It's too cold out here. 85." I'd always be like, "What? 85 is perfect." But then they're right. It gets like to 90, 95, 100, and the pools are obviously just
Full.
packed,
Yeah,
full of people, which I get. I get.
yeah. I love a good.
Um, yeah, the heat just it does take some getting used to. That is for sure. Kind of coming back to Iowa, and then we have the winters in Iowa. I do miss, you know, at least the 6 months in Vegas where it's a pretty good, reasonable temperature. It never
Yeah,
gets below freezing. You know, it might every now and then. Um, but I do miss that on the when it's like -10 here in a blizzard and it's
yeah,
50 degrees in Vegas. You know, that's the good part is you have 6 months of a solid winter of
yeah.
like good, reasonable temperatures.
And that's when our sport shifts into gear because in Vegas it's
Yeah.
like once it's cold that means the season's on. So like you can start
Yep.
going to Red Rock and because like when it's hot like this you're not climbing outside. You're just not.
Yeah.
It's not
Yep.
the time. And so the Red Rock has an off season. You can still go to like places like Mount Charleston that are close by. Vegas has a
Yep.
lot of options that are like a 2 hour circle from Vegas. There's like
Mm.
anything you can want in terms of climbing.
Yep.
It's actually pretty amazing as a hub. So once it gets cold here, it's on. We have a lot of people that come to stay in Vegas for like the whole season and do some climbing.
Yeah.
Great.
What's the main go-to spot to go climb around there?
Well, like Red Rock, basically. I mean,
Red
Red
Rock.
Rock is
Yeah.
huge, and there's so much to offer. Like I said, every single discipline I talked about can be present there. Lots of sport, lots of bouldering, lots of multi pitches because the those mountains are huge. So like
Yeah.
You can go all the way to the top of those things and do like an epic, like big day session out there with a buddy or a group of people. And there's
Yep.
so much to offer. And going down those canyons and getting away, like for one, people don't realize like how close Red Rock is to Vegas. Like if you live in Vegas and you aren't going to Red Rock, it's crazy because it is so
Yep.
close and it is so beautiful. You only need like 45 minutes from your car and you are fully immersed in the middle of a sandstone canyon covered by like
Yeah.
trees and like there's like running waterfalls and like amazing vegetation and wildlife and all this stuff is right
Yep.
here outside of like close to our city. So
Yep.
it's such a sick destination.
Yeah. I had talked to people who had lived in Vegas for a majority of their lives, and they had no idea what Red Rocks even were. And I
Yeah.
was like, I've been here for a year, and I've gone there 20 times. It
Yeah.
is so cool. You're right. You can climb, you can bike through it, you
You can mountain
can
bike.
you can
Yeah.
you can run through it. They have so many like 5Ks, 10Ks running through it.
Yeah.
And that you can hike it, and the hikes you can go to like I think it's called Turtle Peak, which
Yeah.
has a sick view of Vegas. It just
So
I
good.
can't remember how high it is, but you can just overlook the whole valley. Yeah, it's typically it's a little cooler, a little more elevated, so it's you kind of get out of that heat every now and then. It still gets
Yeah.
hot, but it is so cool up there.
Yeah. When you dip back into the canyons and it's like shady and you're at a high elevation, it actually gets so cold.
Yeah,
It's
oh
crazy.
yes. Yep. Sun goes down and you're like, "Oh shit." Like I'm in shorts and a t-shirt and it's like getting to
Yeah.
55, 50 degrees. It's like, "Oh damn."
Big swings. Like you could go, like you could hike in
Yep.
the sun and be like, oh, shit, we're dead. And then
Yep.
like a few hours pass and you're tucked away in the shade and you're actually like in a puffy and pants and
Oh
cold.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
once that
such a big
sun kind
difference.
of goes down behind those mountains,
Yeah.
it's completely different. It just
Hmm.
drops in temperature. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
cool how
that
much
place
wildlife
is
you can see too. There's deer, there's donkeys, there's mountain
they have a
lions,
they have a shit ton of wild horses too
there's
roaming around that
horses.
area. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. There's so much stuff packed up in those mountains that come down to greet you every now and then.
Yep.
I've had some buddies have close encounters with mountain lions out here actually in Red
Really?
Rock. Yeah. Like hiking out at night, just like going back to the car and like stopping to just like take a quick piss and it's just like just like full blown
Jesus.
mountain lion way too close for comfort. I don't know if I've seen a mountain lion in Red Rock, but I've heard a lot of people tell me they have.
Those things are becoming a problem. They're
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. I said I was just talking to Chris and because he lives in Colorado and I don't know if you've heard, but they're trying to pass a law where hunters cannot hunt mountain lions anymore. They're
Yeah.
trying to like out ban it
Yeah, I've seen
or
stuff on
and
Instagram.
I don't know if it's necessary to ban it, but it's more maybe like only the government can hunt the problem causing mountain lions or something like that. But even Chris will say he's like they're everywhere. They're gonna eat everything if
Yeah.
that happens. They're just gonna just go everywhere.
Yeah, it's the thing about like hunting like is that a lot of those uncontrolled species have been kept in a stable place because of hunting for so long, and people get a little sensational about like the way that the people go about it, and they think too
Yep.
much about it that like it's actually helping. Like I just don't get it.
Yep. Like I'm not a hunter. I plan on going to like my first hunt this fall, hopefully.
Yeah,
But just being around like Chris, and then when you and him both worked for Go Hunt and things like
yeah,
that, just kind of hearing everyone talk about it. I remember I went to like I think it was 2% conservation. They had like a big get together and a big bonfire out in the desert one
yeah,
time, and they just like everyone was drinking whiskey and getting really drunk and having a good time. But people were talking, and I was just talking to some of those people part of that group, and yeah, you're right. A lot of people don't really understand. A lot of them see someone shoot a deer, shoot an elk, shoot a mountain lion, pose with it, and just thinking like these people are just pure trophy hunters, just doing it
yeah,
just to get a good photo with a cool animal and call it good. For
yeah,
99% of them, they use all parts of the animal. They eat the animal. They They use the hides. I mean, it's all paid for, and all the fees and stuff. It goes towards wildlife
Yeah.
conservation. Hunters fund conservation. It's
Hunters are
yeah,
the
it's
number one contributor to wildlife conservation.
yeah,
And like you're eating meat. Like, don't you eat meat? Like
yep,
at a grocery store? Like it's I mean, maybe you don't. Like some people, don't eat meat at all, but like the majority of people do. And like that it's the same thing. I mean, you're eating
yeah,
food that's coming from a much worse place than if you are paying safely removing something from nature that's already been allocated to be taken out. It's I don't think there's enough information. Like people don't really realize. And
no,
I don't hunt
you
either.
know,
Like I don't hunt. I
yeah,
just I just actually like listen to like the conversations. I don't think people really realize that a lot of that stuff is really good for nature, not bad.
yeah, exactly. Like vegans, I have a little bit more respect for who like are against hunting because they at least don't eat meat.
Yeah.
At least they eat. At least they're not the hypocrites that are eating hamburgers and chicken
Yeah.
that are like those things. Like those things are getting killed way worse than what the hunters are doing. They're taking them a little bit more peacefully. And if you're like a good hunter, it's just one shot and hope that animal is down within 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah, totally.
And like an elk, that thing will fill your freezer for a whole year.
Yeah, it's
They're
so much
so
meat.
I got you
Crazy.
sa- sausage, steaks, ground elk. I mean,
Background.
it is crazy how much meat that is.
Yeah.
I know, like I hear some people, it's like that's all they do. They don't even buy beef or chicken. They just try to kill two animals a year, and that'll last their family a whole year.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I definitely respect that. Like, and I like it too. It tastes good.
Oh,
Like
it's
to
very
have
good.
like a good like cow elk. Like it's tasty and it's good for you. It has incredible nutrients.
Oh yeah,
Keeps you
you
strong.
guys. Well, yeah, it's not being fed a bunch of bullshit that some of the livestock are being fed on just like a
Yeah.
cow farm or a chicken farm. It's all just pure, natural, organic, out in the wild food that's making these elk very healthy and why they taste so good. And
It's
mule deer and stuff like that. But
totally.
I have and I've never been on a hunt. I have gone on a couple scouting trips with Chris and whatnot. And like we went out in one in northern Nevada. And I just truly don't think people understand how hard it is to hunt
Yeah.
and to kill an animal. Like
Yeah.
all we were doing was just hiking, finding some good spots to see where the elk were. And we just did like a day trip and stayed in a tent overnight. And I mean, we hiked for like 9 hours just up and down these mountains. I was just
Yeah.
like, dude, get me the fuck out of here. This
Yeah.
is, and it's kind of what maybe is like, I gotta get in better shape. Like, Jesus Christ, this kicked my ass. And Chris was just like, he wasn't necessarily struggling, but he was getting tired, but he was just kicking my ass through it too. And you do that, and then you kill like an elk, for example, and then you got to carry that bastard out.
Yeah. That ain't light.
That I know if it's like 1,000 pounds or something like that, but maybe more, maybe less. But that is so much. It's a ton. It is a
Yeah.
ton, and
Yeah. I'm mad
I
as
don't.
fact. It's a lot of work, especially the archery
Yep,
people. That's hard.
yep,
That's really hard.
yep,
And I do a lot of walking myself too because we go way deep into the mountains to go
yep.
find climbs and boulders and stuff. And the worst thing is that you carry like a crash pad on your back, and it's the most awkward shaped thing ever. Like it's like 5 foot tall, giant foam rectangle on your
Yep.
back. Like it makes walking a pain. And you
It's
take that thing in for like an hour on like an uphill dirt like approach.
red.
Oh my god, you're dead after that. And then you
Yeah,
have to climb.
it probably throws your weight off, doesn't it? Just kind of like have to balance this thing on your back. That's
Yeah, you end up
decently
like
heavy.
you end up like hunched over, keeping the weight like up on your shoulders, and
Yep.
then your back is destroyed. It's so bad, but you need something to land on. I mean, what are you gonna
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. You don't want to fall on those rocks.
Yeah, that's why it's good to have friends and like climbing is about community and hanging out with people and like it's always gonna be better to go on a big hike like that with like 4 friends, 5 friends than it is to like go
Yep.
alone or just with 2
Hold on.
people. Like, hanging out with other people out at the boulders and like maybe like cracking a couple beers, like just hanging out. It's just it's nothing better than
Fun.
that. It's my
Yeah,
favorite.
I was gonna ask if you guys just party out there while you're
Sometimes,
climbing.
yeah,
Bring a little cooler with you, have some drinks. Sounds fun.
100%. Like sometimes, you're like really dedicated to what you're doing, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna like try to focus and maybe not drink too much or maybe not do this and that. Maybe I'll just like, but other times it's like we're just having fun, man. I'm gonna pack in like
Yeah,
a whole 6 pack, like,
yeah,
or
yeah,
like sometimes I'll do like night sessions with friends and I won't even climb. I just want to show up and hang out with people. Like maybe I'm already fried or
yep,
already worked that day, or like I don't want to climb that day, and I'll just
yep.
go out and hang with people. And I'd rather do that than anything else. Like that's a great option. Just like
It
it's totally people that just never they just show up just to drink and
just
naked. I'd
just
fucking
oh
totally respect it.
that is what I would do. That's the one part I'd be like worried about missing out on. It's like, no, no, no. I'll carry in some beer. I'll just sit and
Yeah.
hang out. Yeah, yeah. I'll carry in supplies. I'd be like just give me all the supplies you want. I'm not climbing or nothing. I'll provide some food and some beverages, and we'll call it good.
Yeah, it helps with the mental strain of like, oh man, this bag's heavy. I'm hauling it up, but it's heavy because it's got a bunch of beers in it, and I'm okay with that. It'll be worth it. I don't have to hike it out. I'll drink them
Yeah,
all.
it's lighter on the way back. Lighter on the way back. Yep.
That's the best. Crushed up
Yes, it
cans,
is.
space reduced. We're all
Yep.
good. Yeah.
Do you guys ever like stay the night when you go bowling, kind of eating? Have you ever like camped
Like
out or anything like
on
that?
trips, sometimes you'll like be in a tent somewhat nearby. I've never stayed overnight in like Red Rock.
Yep.
I'm sure people do.
Yep.
There's some like parking areas that I know people camp in, but Red Rock is like
Mm.
a pretty strict these days about overnight camping in undesignated areas. And a
Yep.
lot of people just kind of park and sleep in their vans and stuff. So the rules are
I
like
know.
kind of weird on that.
Yeah, because is it a national park or is it a state park?
Red Rock is a state park, I think.
State.
And there's
So I know
the loop is like protected. You can't stay in the loop overnight.
in a loop.
But outside of the loop, I think is like maybe BLM. I'm not even sure. Maybe I should look up some of this stuff because I don't know
Yeah.
for sure.
I know just from like hiking and stuff, I've seen signs that say like can't have campfires, can't
Yeah,
camp
definitely.
overnight,
Fire.
got to be out of here by 8:30,
Yeah,
things like that. In some areas, some allowed camping and whatnot, but yeah, the no campfires was kind of a universal thing for the park as
yeah,
well.
it's so dry. There's been a
Oh
couple
yeah,
fires, and I think like maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, there was a pretty bad fire on the very far south side of Red Rock
really.
that like scorched like a
Isn't there
lot.
a isn't there a big fire in California going on
Yeah,
right
there's
now?
fire in California right now, and it's super hazy out. It was
Is
really
it
bad yesterday, and it's not as bad today. Yesterday
where
it was like total
where
haze over.
where's that? Is it kind of like the San Diego, LA area,
I actually
or is
don't
it?
know. I just heard about it yesterday because I was like, wow, what is going on?
Yep.
But yeah, there's a big fire. And it's
God,
not. It definitely
they
always
always
up over here.
every year out there, they're always getting those dang fires that are just wreaking havoc
Yeah,
everywhere.
totally. I think it's better than previous years too. It's like I remember a couple years ago there was like nonstop fires in California.
Really? But yeah, that was yeah. It wasn't like 2 or 3 years ago when it like, tore through like 7 towns and burnt the
Yeah,
whole town to a crisp or something like that.
yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah. Have you guys? Has it been a pretty dry year? I mean, granted, Vegas is
Super dry
more dry than
summers
everywhere, but
too.
yeah.
Um, like we've had like a couple rainfalls this summer. Usually we'll get a couple more monsoons, but
Yep.
really, really, really dry summer. I think I would be interested to see like stats on it. I think it's pretty
Yep.
bad.
Yeah, we've been very wet here. We're the opposite. We've gotten a record, or I wouldn't say a record amount of rainfall, not a record. We're getting up there, close to
Yeah.
records, but we've gotten like the record number of tornadoes ever,
Oh
and
shoot!
that
Really?
that have touched down in Iowa this year. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
There was a town that's like 2.5, 3 hours away from where I live that just got absolutely is a small town of like a
Yeah.
thousand people that got flattened, like literally 90% of the homes just blown away. And they said like the wind speeds were like some of the fastest ever caught. I think the wind speeds were like 325 to 330 to 340 miles per hour or something like that. Yeah,
That's
just
crazy.
demolished the town. Yeah,
Do you have
it's been
like a designated like shelter that you would know to go to or something?
um not your basement. You know,
Yeah.
most homes have to have a.
Oh yeah,
You
I guess
don't have
most
to
of
have
them
a
do.
basement. In like my house, we don't have a basement. I mean, we technically do, but it's not underground. Like ours is just a split level house.
Yeah.
And so the basement is underground, but we have like a room that has no windows or anything like that that we
Yeah.
can go into and go, go crawl into or put some pillows on top of us or something like that if we think I mean, we've had to go in the basement in that room twice this year due to tornadoes. We had the sirens going off and everything, and the couple
Dude.
ones that were close within 5 miles. So relatively close if they just went a different path. But yeah,
Wow,
you
that's
know, it's
crazy.
but I'm so used to it. I'm one of those guys where you see on like TikTok where he's out filming it and they're just a mile away and everyone's like, "Get inside, get inside! The tornado is coming." It's just you never think it's gonna hit you. And I'm just outside like, "Oh, look, it's pretty nice out here. It's windy. It is what it is." Like
Yeah. That's
where
crazy.
Neville's parents live, they live in a little town called White Oak, which is like 30 homes. That is it. It's
Yeah.
technically not even a town. It's like a township or something like that. But they had a tornado go through like right next to his parents' house, and but their house didn't get touched. It just went right around his house, and all you gotta do is drive out their driveway, and there's just houses everywhere with that are not gone, but like the roof's gone,
Yeah.
half the
See
house is
that.
gone. Yeah, things like that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything like tornado-esque. Like, I
Yeah.
don't even know. I've never seen anything like it. We have a pretty like we're like very protected in this desert basin of ours in Vegas. Like, there's just
Yep.
not a lot of stuff that gets through. It's just hot, but we don't,
But that heat is enough. That heat is enough. And I've only seen a tornado like in person twice, I think. So I mean, it's rare, I guess, that you will see one in person. I know when we were in high school, Chris, like me, Chris, our friend Colin and Taylor, we'd always get in a car when a storm was coming through, pretend to be like storm chasers and stuff like that, and hit the road. But we'd never see anything. We'd
dang.
get into like a really windy area, then it start downpouring rain, and then we just stop. We're like, oh, okay, this is getting a little too crazy.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah.
I love
So
that
it's
show. I watched so much of that show. The Storm
storm
Chasers.
chasers.
I
Yeah.
was addicted.
I don't know how they I know they got a bunch of equipment that's like, oh, there's a very high possibility of a tornado in
Yeah.
this storm system. But it's like, how do they know where to go every single time to see those tornadoes, to get right next to it? Like they have to be on the road just constantly
They're
for
probably
like
just driving
three
the
or 3 to 4
all the
months.
time. They're just
Yeah.
driving that whole time they're shooting. They're just like, oh man, it looks like there's a good chance. So let's just head that way. Like a
Yep.
couple-hour drive, that 10-hour drive. Who knows? Like they probably just
Yep.
drive nonstop.
Yep.
Who knows?
And yeah, it's who knows is right. Yeah, I try to figure out when they're come. It's something with like if it's cooler and then the next day it's supposed to be really hot, or if vice versa or something like that, where it's a drastic change in temperature and then humidity, something like that, where tornadoes are more likely to kind of form with some storms.
Yeah.
There's some science behind it. I'm not well versed in it. I hear people talking about it. I just like, just tell me what to do. Just tell me what's gonna happen. I'll be fine.
Just hang on tight.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. Vegas doesn't really get. I've seen like a sandstorm come through every now and then, but to me those are pretty crazy because I had never seen a sandstorm before,
Yeah.
and like I had been at a grocery store one time and came out and I could barely see my car. The sand
Yeah.
is just blocking. I was like, what in the world is going on here?
And when the wind whips, it gets going for
Yeah,
sure.
because it can get pretty windy because you guys don't have like, I guess you have some mountains surrounding you, but when it
Yeah,
kind
but
of
it kind of
gets
like
over them,
swells in.
yep,
It's
comes down.
it can definitely like pick up quick.
Yeah. When you've been flying, Have
Yeah.
you ever hit some turbulence and just had to like, oh God, here we go?
Yeah. I think I was like super unlucky, like my first like handful, my first few flights where I was like super unlucky. It was like, well, obviously it's hot out, and when it's hot out, the heat like builds up on the ground and it
Yep.
just lifts. So there's all these just like heat swells that just bounce up. So even if it's not that windy, when it's really hot out, there's just going to be heat kind of rising into your plane. So
Yeah.
it's always you always get like a little bit of turbulence going. I had a
So,
couple early on that were like immediately like, whoa, okay, holy god,
what am I doing?
yeah. Like today we didn't even try because it was so windy. We're like,
So Wendy,
let's just not.
what what's like the what's the like the most windy you'll go out, like the stopping point of like if it's over 20 miles an hour or if it's a gustier wind, we're not going to go, or what's kind of the drawing line of
No, I
what you
think I've
guys
only
will
ever
and
felt it.
won't
I'm
do?
not sure the number. Probably around like 15 is like it's getting windy, and like anything
Yep.
over that is like maybe not ideal. Like we can get up there. It's just that we're not going to have great conditions for learning. So it's like you could, and obviously people are up there and they're doing it, but it's more about it not being very efficient, and like you're not getting a great day out of it of learning and being able to do maneuvers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would
When
say
you
faster than 20 is like pretty bad
yeah,
for the
that's
small
windy, yeah.
planes, for the small little
Yeah.
Cessnas.
Is it just like a two-person plane or
Yeah,
like a
it's a
yeah,
two
what's
person.
it
It's a small Cessna 172.
Cessna.
Yeah, they're pretty small. Like your knees are all the way up against like the front of the plane,
Yep.
and the person sitting next to you is you're basically like touching arms. It's pretty small. It it
What's the distance those things can go? What's the flying distance on one tank of gas?
no,
How
we know
far will those
I
puppies
don't
get you?
I haven't done any like cross track stuff, anything super long, but they could easily go to like like from here to St. George or here to Mesquite. So
Yeah.
it can go quite a bit.
Yeah.
They have relatively big tanks, and they're very fuel efficient for how old they are. They're like 70-year-old plane, or they're made in the 70s, so pretty
Oh,
old
so
machines.
50, yeah, 50
Yeah,
years old, 50 plus or
yeah,
something like
and they
that.
and
Yeah.
they and they work great. It's crazy. They kind of nailed it.
What when you're in the air, like flying with your teacher, like
Yeah.
what do you do? What's he telling you up there? Is he like, hey, turn here? Or like where do you fly to? What's he telling you? Like, are you just doing circles around Vegas? Or
Yeah.
like how does that work?
Well, basically, we'll do all of our processes. We'll do all of our like checklists before we get in the air. Once we're in the air, we'll go to like a practice area, which is kind of over Mount Charleston. So we're on like the
Mm,
northwest part of town, and it's like a designated practice area. And all of there's other schools up there, and they all kind of
yep.
operate the same place. So we basically just take off. We head that way. We'll get like he'll give me a heading, or I'll just kind of like eyeball a heading, go toward it, climb to a certain altitude, and then right now we mostly just do like drills where we'll do like tight turns or like rotate around like a reference point. So like find something
Mm,
on the ground and then do like perfect circles around it,
yep.
accounting for wind. Or we'll do like stalls in the air. So we'll do like really slow flight, pull the plane back until it stalls, and then let it drop back in, and then regain
Oh shit.
control, which was pretty
Is
scary
that
the few
I'll
times.
say is that scary?
Yeah, first few times I
Jeez.
was like, you get like a sinking feeling for sure, and there's like
Yeah.
a horn that's going off that's like "Brr," like you're about to stall, like that's not great, and then you just like it just goes on and just kind of falls.
What is the point of stalling? Like what's the reason behind doing that?
Well, practicing stalling helps you with landing because you're landing at a very slow speed and you're pitching up
Mm,
really hard to be able to land really smoothly. So just being comfortable with it. Basically the plane stalls when like if your attack angle is too high and there's no air going over the top of the wing,
yep.
because like a plane gets lift because the air traveling over the top goes faster, so air pressure is lower and the wing creates lift, as well as just the straight like friction of air hitting a wing will push it this way.
Pushing up.
If there's no wind coming up over the top, if there's no air coming over the top, your speed will slow to a point where just like can't create any more movement, and it'll just dip down. But then the second it dips down, air goes over the top again, and you just regain speed. So you could just kind of like whoop, and then you're
Nice.
back in. So it sounds scary, but the plane is just made to fly. Like it,
And do that.
unless
Yeah.
something drastically goes wrong, it handles it pretty well.
I'm sure like that buzzer or that alarm, like beeping, like beep, beep, and then
Yeah,
that sinking feeling I'm guessing you get when you kind of dip down. It's like, oh,
yeah. Not something you'd like to see, especially when you're in such a
yeah,
small plane and everything moves so much. Like
yeah.
there's so much reaction that like a feeling like that is like so drastic and so fast that it's like, oh my gosh, just gets you going.
Yeah.
But then you get used
Yeah,
to it, and it's
those
not so bad.
yeah, for sure. What's a heading? Is that just like a point you have to head towards? Like a designated
Yeah, like on a compass, like all the numbers on a compass, basically, it's like
Mm.
if you're looking at that, but like flattened, you would
Oh,
just
gotcha.
like you would just say like, oh, I'm gonna head like 100, and that would be like on the compass.
Mm.
So it's just like a
Yep,
direction essentially.
gotcha. Yeah,
But
those small planes kind of they don't necessarily freak me out, but you just hear stories sometimes
yeah,
too of just like people flying their personal plane and crashing. Last year we went to Canada and we did a fly-in plane, that one that landed on a lake and then they dropped you
yeah,
off at a cabin for a week and we went fishing. It was me and Chris and a couple other buddies and Chris's dad. And we got on this plane. He had like a Garmin navigation system and we were flying and I was sitting in the passenger seat up front and it started like raining outside and he's like, "Oh yeah, we got to turn around." He's like, this is a little too rough." It was I think it was supposed to be just like I want to say like an hour and a half flight or something like that up north
yeah,
into just the middle of nowhere into these cabins. But then it was like crystal clear with some clouds for like the first hour and we're 30 minutes away and then it started raining and sprinkling, and then we fly into this cloud cover that's dark clouds. And he's like, "Yeah, I can't see. We're turning around." And I was like, "Shit!" And so he looped it around, and he's like, "We got to." I was just like, "Oh, I'm going down. We're gonna fly straight into this thunderstorm."
it's scary. It's totally scary.
And it's definitely more, it's not as scary as what I probably make out to be. He's just like, "Yeah, let's turn around." He whips it around. He flies into clear sky, lands on the water, and you get out and you just wait for it to pass. But when you get used to it, it's fun. Flying in those planes are kind of cool.
Yeah,
They're
totally cool.
yeah, it's just a sweet elevation. You're not extremely high. You
Yeah.
can see a lot. Do you fly over Mount Charleston? So like you have a pretty good view of all that
Well, you have a
down there.
great view of Vegas, like
Yep.
the whole time. And we do stuff in Red Rock too, so we'll just swing through Red Rock and we'll just kind of like whip around and we'll do a few drills over there, but our airspace over Charleston is like a little bit better for all of our
Yeah.
training stuff. We're not like over the mountain though.
Okay.
We're like a little bit lower elevation, but the really nice thing is that once you get higher, it's not hot anymore. It gets down to like
Nice and
80
cool.
degrees up in the air.
Oh,
It's just you totally chill out for like the majority of it. It's just when you're
yeah.
sitting on the tarmac and you don't even have the prop on yet. There's just sitting there. You're burning
So
hot.
is there no air in those planes? So it's just like the empty cabin with nothing, pretty much.
Yeah, there's no
Oh,
air conditioning.
that is hot.
There's heating if you wanted it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably not. You probably don't even need that most of the time of the year until
yeah,
a little bit in the middle of winter.
yeah. In the winter, I think it's nice, but yeah, most of the time you're just fine out here. Just nice, beautiful skies. I was just
Yeah,
out golfing earlier.
I,
Oh,
I was golfing. I golfed earlier too.
oh
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
You any good?
Well, I went to the range today, just trying to straighten out my driver a little bit, but I've been playing a lot of golf recently, actually. Just a
I have as
secondary
well.
hobby.
It's fun. It's
I
a
love
blast.
it. I love
it's
golf.
it is the most infuriating sport there might just to me just because you can have a very good shot one time and maybe not fully understand what you did right and then the next
Yeah,
shot I just chunk it goes 30 yards to left. I was like it felt like I was the same exact shot I hit before. I just
yeah. Golf is crazy because like I always compare it to climbing, at least to my friends and stuff too. Is like imagine you're an amazing climber and you've been climbing for a long time, you're super good, but every single time you go to the gym, there's like 25% chance that you just like won't be able to do anything even close to your max difficulty, because that's just golf. It's like you could be like
Yep.
feeling like you're getting better, and then one day something's wrong in your brain and your swing is totally ruined and you have no idea what's
Yep.
going on. I
Yep.
hate it.
Yeah. It sucks. And I have a couple friends and cousins who they're good, but like I don't want to say scratch golfers. Probably like a handicap of like 5 to 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
But like my biggest thing is I'm pretty decent at driving. I can hit that relatively straight, but it's just like my approach shots. I am just nowhere near the hole or the green. I can't spin anything. So like if I hit it a little bit more of a line drive, that thing's rolling 100 miles an hour off the green unless I sky
Gone.
it. So I have no control. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
It's hard. It's
It
hard. I respect people that are consistently good at golf, because it means that like mentally they're very focused on mechanically, they're very routine. It's very impressive to me to be able to do something with that many moving parts that consistently every time you play.
yeah
I
yeah
feel like even if I was good, there'd still be so many days where I'm like, I'm just not super focused today. I'm not hitting very well, and it is what it is.
yeah. You're right. It is a mental game. It can really
Yeah,
fuck you up when if your mind is not right. You're just like this sucks. Like I'm not there today. Not gonna hit it.
yeah.
It's I have my brother. He's a better golfer than me. His only downside is he gets so pissed when he is not golfing good. He I have seen him probably snap 4 or 5 clubs over his knee when
No
he
way,
doesn't hit a
really.
good shot. Just he has bought more like 60-degree wedges, 52-degree wedges than anyone I've ever seen because he
Not good.
snaps them,
That's not
throws it, chucks it, breaks it. He's just like, I'll
good.
just go buy a new one. He gets so upset, and he's good too. Like when
Yeah,
he's on, he's very good. But he'll have his days too where if it's not right, you might be able to beat him, and not me, but someone else who's a little bit more decent, just because he's a little hothead, just snapping clubs. He just will go up one of those. He'll just go up to it, not even take his time, just whatever, hit it.
yeah.
It's funny.
It's kind of a good parallel to what we're talking about with some of those climbing days and some of those climbing
Mm,
people, where it's like, for me, I know that like if I'm not having a great day, then at least it could be a good drinking day, and I'll
yeah.
just have a couple bevs out, maybe take my shoes off for a second, do a little barefoot walk in the grass.
Yep.
There's nothing better than that. That
No.
it's always a good positive to something, even if I'm not swinging well. At least I can maybe like see a few road runners and a couple rabbits like
Just
running around in the grass.
just a nice chill day out in nature,
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Have a couple beers. It's nothing, not a whole lot better, just relaxing and having a good time.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and
I like
me
go.
and me and me and Neville were talking about you the other day when we were talking about when we went out to the bar where you got tackled. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I do. The Parkway.
Right, yeah. Because
Yeah.
we were.
That,
Cause are you going to his wedding
yeah, I am.
next week? Sweet. So I'll see you in a week. Yeah. Because we were just talking about that, and some people were like just talking, how many beers are you serving me that night? And Chris was like, as many as you want. But we were talking about we're like we got Dom really really fucked up that one night, and
Dude, that was a
kind of
crazy
went
night.
there.
I don't
Yeah.
know what we did before that too, because that wasn't even like the first stop. I think maybe we were at the strip, and then we went
E-
there after.
Well, in the dumb thing Chris and I did too, just coming from Iowa, not really knowing kind of how Vegas works, especially
Yeah.
like going out and drinking and going to bars. Typically in Iowa, and what we first did in Vegas is we would start drinking. We would start pre-gaming at 7 o'clock. Like,
Yeah.
or we come home from work on a Friday night, go work out, cook dinner, and start drinking. And by 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, we were ready. Like, let's go to the bars. Let's go do
Yeah.
this. We were turned up, and I think like we went. you came over, had some beers, maybe went to the strip or something, had some more drinks, and then we went to Parkway, and it was only like midnight or something like that
Yeah.
at that
And
time,
you were
and we were
destroyed.
already just annihilated. And that was like we would always get so drunk before going out, and Vegas, it's like 24/7. We had, you know,
What's the
not to
rush?
say, yeah, it's like, why you guys getting drunk at 9 o'clock at night? It's like, well, we're used to it. All
Yeah.
the bars close at 2 where we're from, so you're getting as drunk as early as possible.
Yeah, we always
Um,
show up too early. We're always on too quick.
yeah,
It's a problem.
and we get there and there'd be like 15 people there, and we'd be like, oh, what is this? This bar is not fun. And people be like, guys, it is 9:30. Just wait. And they're like, well, we're like, how long do we wait for? And they're like, people usually come around like 12:30. I was like, what? That's so then it's like 3 more hours of sitting there drinking
Yeah.
beer, drinking vodka,
And then
whatever we're
yeah,
drinking. Yep. And then that's when you got
I
form
got
tackled.
completely demolished. Yeah, by a large bouncer,
Yes.
heavily. And
And you were on one that night too.
I think I just was. I snuck back in because they kicked me out, and that's what
Yep.
really pissed them off.
Yep.
And then I think we just got into like a shouting match. And they did not like us. And you were involved, and Neville was involved, and
Yeah.
man,
I remember I can't remember the reason why you got kicked out.
I got kicked out because I threw
Um
up.
oh, that's right.
And I was like, well,
Yes.
that's fucked up. I just threw up. Like, it is what it is. And they're
I'm
like, you gotta go.
I'm
I was
sure
like,
they've
all
seen that
right. And then
before.
my phone was dead. So I was
That's
stuck
right.
outside with a dead phone. And I was like, all my friends are inside. I'm just gonna get back in line. I already had a stamp, went back
Yep.
in. And then it was like a while until they caught on that I was back in. And once they did, they started coming over and they were like, hey man, you got to get out of here. And I was like, why? Like, tell me why I need to go. And they wouldn't tell me. So I just started getting into a shouting match with them. And I think maybe at some point I just maybe started pushing them or something. And they hated that. So like
Yep.
second we got out the door, it was like body slam into a pile of rocks.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
I I
that was
I
bad.
remember you getting kicked out, and then like me and Chris I think we were talking, or we were talking with another group of people, whatever, and we saw you get kicked out. We're like, shit, not this. And then you kind of just gave us like a thumbs up or something, and then you just got like right back in line.
Yeah.
And then they just like there was no hesitation. You just walked right in. Like they just said, all right, you're good. Here you go. Like it was
Yeah.
two different people that kicked you out and who let you in. And then you
Yeah.
came over and started talking to us. And that's right. And then like it was like 30 to 40 minutes after you
Yeah.
came
I thought
back
we were in the
in.
clear after that. But
Yep. Yeah.
picked back
We
up on
thought we were having a good time, and you're like drinking a beer. And I remember the bouncer's like, hey, I need to talk to you. Like, come on. And you're like, what do you need from me? He's like, dude, we've already kicked you out. And you're like, no, like I'm in right now. What are you gonna do? Why are you kicking me out? He's like, you puked. And he's like, I'm fine right now. He's like, it helped me sober up. And you were still pretty drunk. We were all drunk. And then I remember he walked you outside and was like, because you're like, let's just talk this over. Let's talk this
Yeah.
over. He walks you to like that front entrance area, and then me and Chris kind of watching you two, and you kind of give the guy a little shove, like I'm going back in, and it's like a different guy who he starts running out of nowhere, like
Yeah.
all of a sudden we see this big old bouncer take off on a dead sprint and form tackle you into
Yeah.
these pile of rocks. And you were just like
Dude.
sprawled out, and me and Chris just start running like, no, not this. And you come out, you're bleeding, your glasses are like shattered,
Yeah.
broke
And
your
then they put me in a
glasses.
chokehold against a truck. They choked
Yes.
me out. Dude, I'm not a
Yep.
big guy either. I'm like a
Yep.
pretty thin dude. And dude, yeah, those guys had my number, man. That
Yep.
was rough.
And then I remember you stayed at our place,
Yeah.
and we all wake up, and you're like, dude, we got so fucked up last night. I was like, like your face got all kind of messed up a little bit.
Yeah.
We're just like, Jesus Christ, dude, we're sorry. That's how I was like, we got way too drunk, way
Dude,
too drunk.
every time I hang out with those Iowa guys, I always get too drunk.
Yeah, I
It's
do
dangerous.
remember, like we didn't go out with you for another like a couple months, and Chris was like, he's not coming out with us. He's like, we party too hard, and then
Oh
we end up
man.
going out again. But yeah, he was like, yeah, we might drink a little too much in some of those instances. It's like, yeah, well, our problem is always, start too early and then the bar never closed. So we
Yeah.
just had it was just like, when do we go home? There's just no stopping. It's
Yeah.
the good and bad thing about Vegas, I suppose.
Man, some of the most like memorable drunk nights I had with Neville too. Yeah, we went to a wedding together and it was
Oh
he
yeah,
got
was that your boss? Was that
Lorenzo's
Lorenzo's? Yeah,
Lorenzo's
yeah,
he got the same thing too because we went out to the pool. The second we're at the pool, it's like noon. Like
yep,
we started then. Vodka Red Bulls. Destroyed them. Go back to the hotel, keep drinking. Go to the party,
yep.
go to the wedding, we're already drunk. It's like a family wedding. And we're just like such a problem. Yeah, he was so pissed about that though. He's like, why'd they
I
kick me out?
did. Yeah, he got out the option. I do remember that,
Yeah.
Christopher.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's when he gets on one, he gets on one. There's no stopping him.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see him at his wedding. he said
Yeah,
he
I need
said
to
he's
run
not
that back.
he said he's not nervous. So I was like, we'll give you a couple beers beforehand, calm those nerves, because I know they're in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're nervous, bro. Don't lie to me.
yeah, it's all good. It's okay. It's okay. It's a pretty big wedding too. So, I mean, it'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
We'll have to go round two.
Yeah. All right. I'm down.
Sweet. Sounds good, Dom. All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. It was good
Yeah, it was
talking to
nice
you. Good
talking with
seeing
you.
you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good to see you as
And
well.
we'll, talk again in here in like 5 days, 6 days or something like that. So
Awesome, man. I'm
we'll
stoked.
get at it. Perfect.
All right.
Thanks, Dom. I appreciate it.
Take care, man. You have a good one.
Talk you too. All right, bye.